And Charlotte, you will take decision notes for us tonight, yes? Charlotte, if you are confirming, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, awesome.
I can hear one of you. I have two instances of you connected to Zoom.
I'm sorry. I think it's because the microphone wasn't working at first, so I had to join again. But one of them is an imposter, so this is the one that I'm using. I don't know why the other one is still joined.
Hey, Charlotte, can I still hear you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I removed the other instance of you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will start with the script. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Law, be advised that this meeting is being held, is being audio and video recorded. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those that are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair. That would be me. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held at the Zoom link provided in this notice. And this notice is the agenda that's published on the town website. For anybody who's joining us via live stream and you want to dial into the Zoom meeting, the meeting ID is 811-6128-6155. Passcode is 952513. And I would encourage people to go and download the agenda and click on the Zoom link. That is the easiest way of getting into the Zoom meeting. So we will start with a roll call vote. Bob Pease?
I am present.
Richard Tremblay?
Present.
Richard Bursch?
Present.
Jeff Viviano? Don't see Jeff. Mike LaRouche?
Present.
Chris St. Germain?
Present.
Do see Chris. Okay, very good. So I am calling this meeting to order. And we will start out with comments. Do we have any comments from commissioners?
I had one, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Just,
Rich.
just an administrative note. On the website, it shows that my term expired in June of 2023. If we could get that updated, I was reappointed and did get sworn in through the summer.
We will get that straightened out right away.
Mary, I'll take care of that.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
I'll send an email right now while you're hosting the meeting.
Doing the administrative overhead. Yes, I appreciate that. Do we have any public announcements by members of the public? And while people are thinking about that, I'll just remind everyone that the protocol in the meetings is to raise your hand if you want to be acknowledged by the chair. And for those of you that might be new to Zoom, typically in your window there is and typically in the lower section, but if you're on a mobile device, it might be in the upper part of the window. There's a reactions icon and arrow, and you can click on that, and you should have a raise your hand or a clap, any type of icon like that, and I'll know to call on you. And I appreciate everybody's adherence to that protocol. It allows me to manage the meeting effectively. Okay, we do have minutes from previous meetings that have been posted into the share drive. I have seen two meeting minute drafts, but it appears that only one of them has been added to the share drive. And that is the May 17th, 2023 meeting minutes. So I will ask my commissioners, if we are in a position to, accept those and take a vote, to accept those, meeting minutes. Rich Birch, your hand is raised.
I had noticed those, Mary, but then I looked at the agenda, and at least the copy I have doesn't list those minutes for approval. It
Really?
starts at June 7th moving forward.
I had thought that we had approved the May 17th minutes at the last meeting, but I could be mistaken.
Let me go back and look. Thank you, Bob, for that commentary. I was thinking at the last meeting, that they had not been posted, that you and I had seen them, but that they had not actually been posted to the drive, so the rest of the commission couldn't vote on it.
That was my recollection.
Yeah, that's the note that I have, is that they had not been put on the drive, so we couldn't vote last meeting.
I move we approve the minutes of May 17th, if that's the right date.
That is the correct date.
Second?
Okay, we'll go for a roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, that's a unanimous vote to approve the May 17th meeting minutes.
And I
Um,
would just say, the June 7th, or whatever the right date is, minutes have been completed and they're amazing, and we'll have to put them off till the next meeting, unfortunately.
Yeah,
They're
Yes.
they're 11 pages long, and I could not find anything to comment on in them whatsoever. So, and it was a 4 or 5 hour meeting, so. The person they got doing the minutes is wonderful.
yeah, she is doing a great job. Okay. All right, very good. We have no appointment hearings. And Bob, you had recommended that we start out with the continued public hearings, because the new public hearings, we actually are not able to progress because, due to a lack of legal advertisements. So they have all been struck from the agenda, and will have to, hopefully be heard at the next meeting on November 15th.
I believe all those legal ads have been sent in. And
Okay.
so they should all be good to go at our next meeting.
Okay, so I would ask, the members of the public that are, if anybody is here for any of the new, public hearings that have been struck from this agenda, that you be advised we will not be able to progress those. Allow people to maybe not wait until that part of the agenda before they go, oh, I'm not getting heard tonight. I know there have been a lot of, emails in the background, around that. So people probably ask those questions before showing up tonight. Okay, we'll move on to the, continued, public hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation by Kevin O'Brien at 390 Howard Street. And I think I heard Bob that, Matt Morrow had, reached out and requested a continuance.
Until November 15th.
Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I don't see Matt on here, so we'll go with his, email correspondence. Do I have a motion to continue?
So moved?
Second?
Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Michael LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
and I for myself. And that is to continue that 390 Howard Street on November 15th. Moving along. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Joanne Hamburg for the installation of a new septic system at 201 Fire Road 16. Do we have Ms. Hamburg and or her representative on the call tonight?
Yes, Chris McKenzie here from Dawes and Roy to represent tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Do you want to share and let's see, and just kind of recap the scope of the project and what the remaining actions were that caused us to be continued?
Sure. We're going to be asking for a continuance again, just to make you aware. We were requested to locate some trees and the retaining wall along the lake shore on this project, which our field crew did get out and do. However, I didn't get the information from them. Actually, I haven't got it yet. I think it's in my email, but I don't have the results of that shown on a plan yet. Had a busy couple of weeks here, so I wasn't able to make those changes to the plan. I will make those in the next couple of days, and so we'll be ready for the November 15th meeting.
Okay, thank you, Chris. And that is that's consistent with the two notes that I had on work that you were doing, supplemental work that you were doing as well. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. November 15th is good for you?
Yep. I'll have it ready by the end of the week, but you guys won't be meeting again until November 15th. So
Yeah. Okay.
that'll work just fine.
Can I have a motion to continue this hearing to November 15th?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Chris St. Germain for the motion and Mike LaRouche for the second. Thank you. Roll call vote. Rich Birsch,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. So that's a unanimous approval to continue to November 15th.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination by Mario Paciacola for removal of decaying trees at 143 Island Road. Do we have Mario or their representative on this call tonight? And I am not hearing anybody speak up. As I recall, we didn't have any representatives at the last meeting either. And this may have hit us right in a time. This RDA may have hit us right in a time when we were missing people in our office. I don't know if they have actually been told, Bob, that they need to come to a hearing to support the RDA. Do you?
I do not know. I have no clue.
So
It wouldn't
maybe.
I wouldn't surprise me if there's been no outreach to them whatsoever. Somewhere I got the impression that they had hired an engineer to submit this, but I could be wrong. Is there anything in the, is
I
there
think
anything in
you're
the drive about it? To be honest with
No.
you, I haven't looked.
nothing from this in this folder. I'd have to go back and look in a previous folder. I think you may be thinking of, there's another one on Island Road.
Yeah, I think I am probably thinking about the one with the wall.
Yeah, that's the one that I had recalled was I had hired an
Yep.
engineering firm. Okay, so
Yeah, I will send an email right now to Ashley asking her to notify them and everybody else that they're on the agenda for November 15th. How's that?
okay, that sounds great.
All right.
Thank you for taking that action, Bob. I appreciate it. And since we've opened this, I think we need to have a motion and a second to continue this to November 15th.
Motion
Second.
to continue to
Fine.
November 15th.
Okay, Rich Tremblay as a motion. And did I hear Chris St. Germain's voice for a second?
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call vote, Rich Birsch,
Aye.
Michael LaRouche,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. That's unanimous approval to continue this hearing on the November 15th schedule.
What an efficient meeting.
Wow. And we still have a lot of people on the call. Do we have any members of the public that were here for new public hearings, either the 255 Sunny Hill Road, 171 Arbor Street, or 39 Island Road? If so, those hearings won't be held tonight due to a mix-up in the legal ads that weren't placed on time. They are continued for the November 15th agenda. Okay. So we will move along to our business section of the agenda.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I suggest we go to administrative determinations. So since I expect
Ah,
that
That's
some
a-
of those people, or we might want to poll the people here from the public to see why they're here.
I do think the administrative determinations are relevant.
Yep.
So I think let's proceed to those first, and then we'll do the poll. Excellent suggestions, Bob. Thank you. So under administrative determinations, we had 833 Flat Hill Road tree removal.
Yeah, that's us.
Hi, thank you for being here tonight.
Mhm.
And I did see some notes. I don't have them handy. I don't know if Bob or Charlotte can bring those up. There was a site visit. I think Brianna did
Yep.
with some recommendations.
Are they not in the drive? I can probably call them up if they're not in the drive.
I would have to navigate back there.
Oh,
I bounced myself out when I was looking for some other things at the previous hearing.
Do we need to see the site photos?
That would be excellent.
Okay, so I'm trying to. I think Brianna actually sent photos in an email. So I searched for 833 Flat Hill Road, and I found. Hold on, is that it?
Yeah.
Am I able to share the screen?
You should be able to.
Okay, let's see. Because then we know can see. Can you see my screen?
I can, yes.
Okay. I think it's these ones.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me know if you need me to go back to anything.
Okay, is that the last one?
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. Two more.
Okay, excellent. Do we know where the trees are that are intended to come down?
Yeah, do you want us to speak to that?
Yeah, I'd be happy
it-
for you to speak to that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the first couple slides. So the first one, it's the one right in the middle of the frame. It's behind that tree is the creek that runs into the lake, and it's just a small dead tree.
Okay,
And then the next one it's the slanted one, and it's actually, you can't see from this angle, but it's leaning over that bridge. Like if it falls, it's gonna hit the bridge. Right,
The bridge over the
the
stream.
bridge over the stream,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
And then there's one more. Oh no, that's still a view down this, I guess it's
Yeah,
just
that's
a
just
see
back
screen.
up the
Okay,
street,
yeah,
right.
not this either, but the next one I think is the dead one. Yeah, so this is about 55 or 60 feet away from the lake. It's just in the area between our house and our neighbor's house. And actually, when I had the tree guy, I just thought it was kind of good practice to remove dead trees, so I asked him about it. I guess it would be good to not have it there, but I don't know, what's the right thing. And then the other pictures are just, we have branches that are low over the water and touching a shed. And we just wanted to do what we've seen other people doing around the lake, just like raise the floor up to about 18 or 20 feet, just so, we can walk under it and you can see under it. And
Okay, I think I understand.
Mary, I've called up on my screen, the site visit report.
Okay, do you want to read those to us, Bob?
Sure. Brianna wrote it and she says, findings, the resident would like to cut 3 trees down, 2 trees, pages 2 and 3. And she has the same pictures that you just saw. 2 trees, pages 2 and 3 are on the bank of a stream, page 4 upstream and page 5 downstream. That is a tributary to Lake Shirley and flows below the bridge. 1 tree is within the buffer zone and located 55 feet away, page 6. The resident would also like to trim branches on 2 trees. 1 tree has branches hanging over the resident's shed, page 7. The other tree is hanging over the lake, page 8. Branch trimming to start 10 feet for the tree hanging over the resident's shed and 18 feet for the branch over hanging the lake. Recommendations: allow the resident to remove the trees, but leave the stumps in the ground, and request the resident to plant 3 saplings, 2-inch diameter, breast height, of the same genus or a native tree well suited to river and stream banks, such as red maple or silver maple. Request for determination of applicability may be necessary upon the commission's request. And the required action of the applicant is attend the November 1st, 2023 meeting of the Conservation to discuss the matter. Call the office for details.
Okay, thank you, Bob. It seems fairly straightforward to me. I would be willing to accept a motion to accept the recommendation by the administrator, unless somebody has more commentary. Rich Tremblay, I see you've raised your hand. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The 3rd tree that we discussed, the one that's on the property line, is it on your property or is it on your neighbor's property?
we believe, yeah, it's on our property.
Yeah,
It's almost.
it's close. It's
Yeah.
between, but it's our property, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. All set.
Thank you, Rich.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I had a question or one clarification, 2 clarifications. So, Bob, thanks for reading that through. It was a little bit confusing when I talked about the branches over the shed. I think you said it right. It's just written a little bit funny. So we want to go about 10 feet above the shed, which would bring it up to about 18 to 20 feet, like everything else that we're going to do over the lake. It's just written as, I think, 10 feet, which is not very high. So as long as you're okay with the way that's worded, when you read it, you read it correctly. You said 10 feet over the shed. But
Yeah,
not
it
quite
seems
worded that
like I was able to find it while Bob was reading. It seems like the lowest branch right now is around 10 feet, and you want to bring that lower trim up to 18 to 20 feet.
You
Okay,
got it.
great,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's
when
clear
she
to me.
was here, when she was here, in the very last picture, if we want to look at it, there's a cabin down there too. And I forgot to tell her that we wanted to do the same thing with some of the branches in front of the cabin. So bring those up to 18 to 20 feet, that are blocking the front of the cabin.
It's pretty sparse. It would be like one branch probably. But
Okay. Okay, thank you. And that's for that cabin. It is just limbing of the tree.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Any other questions by members of the commission? Again, it seems like it's a straightforward administrative determination, in my opinion. Do any members of the commission feel like we need to go through the formality of an RDA for this? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody opposed or anybody offering advocating in a different direction. So I think I am looking for a motion to accept the administrator's recommendations in this regard, with the added note of also allowing limbing in that additional area above the cabin.
I move that we accept the administrator's recommendation with the additional limbing down by the shed, with the stipulation that by some date that Rich Birch suggests, that we ask them to submit pictures to the office of the 3 saplings, 2-inch diameter breast height that they're gonna plant in replacement. Rich, is it too late to plant trees now?
No, it really isn't too late because the deciduous trees you're looking to plant are going to be dormant anyways. So as long as they're planted properly and watered in, they should be fine, survive the winter.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Ropiak, would you have any trouble with planting the trees, say by the end of November?
No, except I'm not sure how soon we're gonna actually get the other ones.
Okay, what would you, how about, when do you think you're gonna get to cut the trees down?
We don't have, we're not on,
Yeah,
we're
we're
not on
not
this list
scheduled yet.
yet.
We wanted to do
Oh,
this.
all right.
So
So that they submit a picture of the planted trees to the office by April 1st of
Perfect.
That's fine.
2024.
that works.
Excellent. Do I have any second to Bob Pease's motion?
No, the only recommendation I would have is May 1st, just because we do tend to have frosts into March, and they may or may not be able to get them in the ground and get the trees that early in the spring. That would just be my only suggestion.
So I amend my motion to May 1st.
Thank you, Bob.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rich.
Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
Michael Roosh,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
great.
to the residents for showing up and giving us that good view, overview of what you were doing. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Hey,
folks.
thanks for your time.
Nice meeting.
Okay, I believe the next one is 70 Horizon Island Road. Do we have the residents from that property here to speak to us tonight?
I do not see him. But we do have a report.
Let's do you have that report handy, Bob? Could you
I
read that for
certainly
us?
do. Let's see. She had 3 site visits, summaries. Let's see, where's 70 Horizon Island?
I actually did find it, so I can read through it if you want.
All right, yeah, there's just two pictures. This is the 70 Horizon Island Road. Findings, the resident would like to cut 3 trees down that are 47 to 48 feet from the bank of Hickory Hills Lake. 2 trees are dead. Middle tree and the tree closest to the homeowner's residence. It is not. What it says, one is not, but poses a hazard to an abutting property. Tree closest to the fence in photo. See pictures below. Recommendations. Allow the residents to remove the trees, but leave the stumps. If the commission deems it necessary, request the resident to plant 3 saplings, 2-inch diameter breast height of the same tree, eastern white pine. Request determination of applicability may be necessary upon upon the commission's request. And there's pictures of the 3 trees in the drive.
Do you have the ability of sharing, Bob?
You bet your bippy I have. Let me see if I can do that. Share my screen. Oh, that would be screen 1. And let's see if I can't make it a little bigger. Okay, where's the plus button? Oh, there it is. There's her thing. Here's the first set of pictures.
Okay.
And then this is just a little closer to the same tree, 3 trees. So it's these 3 trees right here. It says, if I go back and read the script, it says 2 trees are dead. The middle one and the tree closest to the homeowner residence. One is not dead, but it poses a hazard to an abutting property. So there's, Brianna says this tree and this tree is dead. And this tree is not dead, but it poses a hazard to the abutting property over there.
It's not apparent from the photos what the hazard is.
Well, if you look at the top of the photo, I assume the tree, we're looking at less than half the height of the tree and that it leans over, but that's, you know what happens when you make assumptions.
Yeah. Yeah, but we have our administrator who is saying that it's a hazard, not it's not referring to something that somebody else has said. So we'll trust her judgment in that regard.
I
Okay.
do have a comment.
Yes, Bob.
I don't think we should ever be asking people to plant more white pines. They just grow up and become a hazard, you know. It's like, to me, I'd much rather see them plant some other species that's not going to grow up and then become a a safety threat because it's going to snap off at some point. You know, the other, most of the deciduous trees that grow around here, except maybe for silver maples have a tendency to fall down a lot, but at least that's been my experience. I know Rich is on the call and he knows a lot more about trees than I do. So, but that's just my personal opinion.
So you'd be more comfortable with replanting some native hardwood like maple or oak?
Bingo. You read my mind, but that's just my personal opinion as one member.
Rich Bursch, what are your thoughts on this?
Unfortunately, I don't necessarily agree with Bob. Sometimes as white pines mature in their old age can offer a hazard. A lot of different trees can offer hazards for different reasons and the way they've grown up or they've been in too tight of an area, not planted properly. We do want to be aware that we are losing hemlocks at a rapid rate, and that evergreens like that are an important habitat. for birds and small mammals. So we don't want to necessarily not be replanting white pines in an area where we have evergreens already or a lack thereof. But
I-
just to make sure that the plant is put in a proper spot, you know, like we've got a spot here with 5 overarching oaks. The canopy may not be such that we want to put a tree back in underneath there, but may have an open area where a white pine or any other tree would flourish.
That's a very good point about the habitat loss for the hemlocks. Rich, I appreciate you bringing that up.
But I mean, we can certainly recommend spruce or fir as a substitute for an evergreen, but you know, if we do find the right spot, we still should be telling people that, you know, white pines are a native plant. They do grow well around here. And for the majority of their lives, they aren't necessarily an issue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Do we have commentary or questions from other members of the commission?
I have additional commentary. Somehow I don't see the reactions thing to raise my hand, but there's only a few of us here, so I'll just speak.
Bob, I took yours away strategically.
All right.
Sorry, you just walked into that one. But you have the floor. The chair acknowledges, Bob, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mary. I wanted to follow your guidance that you gave at the beginning of the meeting about raising your hand. You know, like if I was thinking about this in the last one that we just approved, it's like if we had the administrator that we knew was going to be here and could go out and look at the site and give the guidance, you know, on where to plant, I'd be a lot more comfortable approving this tonight. You know, and making a motion, you know, that we approve it, you know, with the stipulation, you know, that the administrator is going to go out, and, you know, decide, you know, with the applicant, you know, where these new trees are going to be planted. But absent that, I mean, I'm wishing we'd done the last one a little differently, and I'm thinking we should take and say we need a site map, you know, and we need to figure out, you know, where these trees would be planted and where it makes sense to plant them, because, you know, it looks to me just from this one little photograph that, you know, the lot's already fairly treed, and so, and I love about Richard's suggestion about spruces and firs and stuff, because I just don't love white pines. But you know, and if Rich really thinks that white pines are a good thing, you know, I'd be happy to support that. But I mean, those are my further thoughts, and thank you for giving me the floor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Bob. And yeah, all good comments. It's sort of new territory for me in particular, having you know, kind of think about additional rigor around what would normally be administrative determinations, but we don't have a continuation plan in the office yet. So it does give me also some pause. We did at least have the benefit of having the investment of the residents in the last meeting, so I'm a lot more comfortable with that. But in this hearing, we don't have even the participation of the residents, right, and the ability to confirm understanding or gauge their support. So I think I'm in agreement with you on your recommendation to request a site map and designated new planting locations.
So
it's
in my
my
opinion, we should table this to the next meeting and ask our staff, and ask Ashley to take and send them a note to come to the next meeting.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. Do I have Bob? Is that actual motion?
If you think we need a motion to table it, I'll make such a motion. I move we table this administrative determination till our next meeting.
Second.
Yeah, continue to the next, so a motion by Bob Pease and a second by Chris St. Germain to continue this, to November 15th, and in the interim for, Ashley or an administrator to reach out to the resident and ask them to, come back with a site map to designate the new planting locations. And so we'll take a roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birsch,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, that gets us through our administrative determinations. So, oof. I find the meetings these days, I'm juggling a lot of documentation from this meeting and the previous meeting. Okay, I think we still have members of the public on here.
Yeah, we got Cicera, John Rodenot, whoever he is. TKR, S. Wright. John Carroll.
So I think now I'm going to poll the members of the public and ask to see what agenda topics they're here for, so that we can prioritize, or at least consider prioritizing their interest, and again, trying to be respectful of everybody's time tonight. Cecilia, what are you here for?
The enforcement section.
Okay, the enforcement section. All right, very good. And John Carroll, what are you here for? Or what's your interest?
Sure. I'm there's an upcoming meeting and I'm just observing how you guys operate. Just in
Okay.
want to see how the whole process works.
Yeah, fair enough. And good on you for having the wherewithal to do that. It's a good endeavor.
Well, thank you. It's actually fun to watch town government.
Okay, and S. Wright, what is your interest?
I'm here for the violation or enforcement section.
Okay, thank you. And TKR, what is your interest?
Same as John. There's an upcoming meeting I'm interested in, so just watching the process.
Okay, very good. Of course, you're welcome. John Rodino, what's your interest? It's interesting. I don't even see a microphone by John's instance.
Yeah, I don't think he enabled audio.
Okay, well, that means that he has no intention of talking. But you know, John, if you can't hear this and you do have an interest, and maybe if it's a technical issue, you can chat, send us a chat as well. Oh, I see that you've sent us a chat. I have no comments. I'm just observing. Okay, fair enough. And then I see a note from, or I see a login from a phone number. Last digits are 4517. Oh, what is your interest? Oh, okay, that's John. Okay, very good. I think, did I miss anybody? I have not seen any raised hands either. Okay, so we'll go to enforcements, and go through that enforcements and violations. Go from there. 780 Northfield Road. That actually is one that I think we're tracking, but I don't. That's the farm access to the old Christmas tree farm. I think we're still waiting on some office activity there, and I don't see Jim or anybody on the call for that. I don't believe. Bob, you have your hand up. You have the floor.
Just for, I don't know if all the commissioners are aware, if you'll recall, we once took and reaffirmed Matt's decision that there was no that it was an exempt activity. Unfortunately, there is a town resident who is pursuing this matter, and the DEP has decided that it's necessary to take and they would like the commission. They have suggested that the commission issue a friendly enforcement order asking him to replace the culvert and to do a little wetlands replication there. Jim has indicated he's more than willing to do that, has volunteered to do it without an enforcement order, but I mean, I think if someone had invited Jim to tonight's meeting, he'd be here. But again, I think just like, Rich Pearson, no one invited Jim, so he's not here. And I suggest we table this to the next meeting and see if we can't get the staff, to actually invite him to the next meeting. And I hope whoever's taking the meeting notes will take that down in the actions, and so we can send a copy to Ashley, so it's all captured, because that's going to be a persistent theme.
Yeah, Jim's really good about showing up anytime he's
Yeah.
aware that there's something going on. I agree. I think that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions or comments around Bob's summary? And thank you for that summary, Bob. Charlotte, yes.
Is Jim the applicant for this? Or sorry, not the applicant, but the resident,
No,
the homeowner?
there's some other resident
Okay.
who has been persistently complaining about this for over a year, insisting that there was a problem here.
But Jim is the parcel owner for 780
Jim is the
Northfield
parcel
Road,
owner.
but not the complainant.
Parcel. So can I just have his last name so we can track him down?
Who?
Jim?
Jim,
Latazzi.
it's Jim Latanzi.
Okay. Latanz.
Yeah, he owns Hollis Hill Farms.
Okay.
And I think if you go to the GIS map too, he's now shown as the owner for that parcel. There's some latency in the ownership, but yeah, he is still he's now shown as the owner there, so you can look his name up there as well, Charlotte.
And Charlotte, I thought that you were copied on some correspondence with Mia McDonald.
Yeah, I probably was. I just haven't had a chance to go through all of them, so I may have missed that one.
So, and if you can't find it, please let me know and I'll find it and forward it to you.
Okay.
Because there was some back and forth with Mia McDonald, and I sent a summary email afterwards. So, and I thought I copied you on you, but maybe I didn't, because I believe that actually Charlotte participated in a site visit there. So. Oh, not-
Charlotte or
not Charlotte,
Brianna?
No,
Brianna.
it was Brianna. Yeah. And actually, I'm not seeing it in my emails, so I don't think that I was included in that.
All right, well then I'll forward it to you right now if I can find it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Bob.
because then I can just add that to the meeting notes and then we can have him, we can inform him of the next meeting.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Moving along, we'll go to 390 Howard Street. Now this was originally added because a resident had sent me some photos of soil washing off of the parcel and down the street and into storm drains. And at the previous meeting, we had also done a site visit as well. We had determined that erosion into the street was not near a wetland, out of our jurisdiction. But in the course of the dialogue and the hearing for the ANRAD, we did determine that there were some serious concerns for erosion happening on that parcel. So I did not remove 390 Howard from the enforcements because of the issues that had come up or had been, communicated about erosion happening in areas that were adjacent to and down gradient from the parcel and into the wetlands. But I don't think we're in a position to make any, oh, Bob, you have your hand up?
Well, if
Comments?
you'll recall, when we had the public hearing on that parcel, we had somebody downstream on the western side of the parcel, say that
Eric
siltation
Lottie, I
happening.
believe.
Yes, happening into their pond. And we had talked about doing a site visit, not on the parcel, but downstream of the parcel to observe that siltation. And I suggest that we do that site visit totally separate from any future site visit, as part of the application, for for an ANRAD, at the actual parcel.
Okay, I think it's a good suggestion.
To document, and I had reached out to Eric and asked, said, we might want to take and visit the parcel that immediately abuts 390 Howard Street. And he said he would contact the person that lived there, but I about getting permission to go on the property and take pictures, but I never heard back from him.
Yeah, that's I think I also thought we were still awaiting the permissions for the parcel owners between Eric and the and 390 Howard Street. That's worth a follow-up to Eric.
But I do think we should conduct a separate site visit at a separate time, would be my suggestion.
I think that's a good suggestion. Any questions or comments from any other members of the commission? Okay. We have, moving along, we have 205 Sunset, the Beers Lot. I don't think we have any updates there. And I think we're going to keep that as a record until they've completed the NOI that we last heard and approved for them. 1118 Mass Ave. I believe, Steve, that's your property, yeah?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you want to just give us an overview of that, or did you
I
want
sent
me
you
to?
an email, and I'm still waiting on you said you were going to send me a memo that explains what violations I did. You never put that in my mailbox. So if you go to your emails, you'll see the site plan that your conservation liaison came today. I want to finish the work that I was so rudely told I had to stop the other day, that they were in the middle of cutting a tree down and I had to stop. I want to get it done. I want to get the work done so I can move on.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
No, can I cut it down? Can I, you forced it. You told me to stop that day. I want answers.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, so for the benefit of the rest of the commission, I am in a butter to Stephen's property, and did have someone report to me that a tree was being taken down within the buffer zone to a stream that kind of goes in between my property and his.
Intermittent stream.
Intermittent stream, that's fair. And so I did go down and ask him to stop work until we could get the very least an administrative determination on that tree removal. And I did refer it back to the office.
Hold up. No, that's not the whole story. They were doing work. The tree snapped in half. Okay, crushed their vehicle. As you can see, it crushed their vehicle. This
I
is the
actually
damage.
I can't see anything, Steve.
Okay, well, let me put it another way. The reason I wanted the tree cut down was to protect this. Okay,
You're
Protect-
saying this, but I don't see that you're
protect this.
sharing anything.
and to protect this. Oh, I'm sharing it. Why don't you actually put your screen on and just look at me in person?
Can anybody else see Steven's screen? I'm not able to.
I can see
I
Bob
saw
right
some
now,
of the-
clear as day.
Steve, I saw some of the pictures you put up, but they were kind of quick. Maybe you held
I
them
can
up
show you,
longer.
sir. Yep.
Mary,
Yes, Bob.
Brianna sent a, administrative report on this.
Okay, yeah.
I
Yeah, that-
suggest I read it.
Okay, that's a great idea, Bob. Thank you.
Location of the site visit is 118 Mass Ave, property owner Steve Wright. Date of the site visit was today. The reason for the site visit was tree removal violation. The resident has cut down 3 trees, 68 to 70 feet from the top of the bank, page 3, and is in process of cutting down another tree, 35 to 40 feet from the top of the bank, page 2, that is a safety hazard. Please note in the picture on page 3, there are 2 trees that have been cut closer to the road and outside the buffer zone. The residents already cut down 3 trees and is in the process of cutting another. In this instance, it seems appropriate to require the resident to plant 4 saplings in place of the 4 trees that have been cut or are in the process of being cut. I've explained to the resident that for projects requiring any earth removal or cutting of vegetation, the resident should have come to the Conservation Commission before the commencement of the project in order to get approval, and this should be the process the resident follows for future projects. Required action, it says attend the November 1st meeting of the Conservation Commission to discuss the matter. Call the office for details. And then there's a picture of the remaining tree and a picture of 3 stumps. And then there's a picture of a shed. I'm not
That's
quite
the
sure.
tree from the first one, sir. That's
And
just a different angle.
so that's what that's the report.
Thank you, Bob. And actually, Bob, I think protocol would require you as vice chair to actually chair this dialogue. As I'm in a butter, I should recuse myself.
Okay. And so let me just share my screen. And let's blow this up. And let's blow these up. I already read the let's see, download. Let's see. So I guess this is a picture of the remaining tree, is that
No,
right?
this is
Steve?
the tree she told me I had to stop cutting,
Okay,
which thankfully she didn't get anything fall on her when she came on my property illegally.
Steve, I can tell you're upset.
Oh, I'm furious because they have to come back out now. Now, I read your handbook.
Steve, you should have asked permission.
How would I know there's need permission? I've never had to do this before. You guys had nothing. You have nothing on your website. I'm sorry, but I didn't know. I apologize for that. I'm trying to do the right thing now, but the work could have been finished. According to your enforcement handbook, she could have led the work to be finished. It was a safety hazard. Now, if that tree fell, well, waiting to be cut down or in another time while it's still up, who's at fault? Me or your commission for not letting me cut it down? Mitigation matter. Mitigation efforts matter. And that's what I was trying to do to prevent family getting hurt, my property getting damaged, or any damage to the environment. I'm sorry, but the way she went about it was absolutely unprofessional. And I'm sorry you don't have the staff at town hall, but She had no legal right to come onto my property. She should have knocked first. Thankfully, the tree company was able to de-escalate the situation and compromise by telling them she'll only cut down half. Even though, according to your bylaws, she has no right to stop the work. I'm just glad she didn't get hurt after the tree snapped in half and crushed the truck literally 3 feet from my house.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I can see you're upset.
Yes.
Comments or questions from the members of the commission?
Bob, can we see the picture again, the first picture of the standing tree?
You bet.
That's the last remaining tree that needs to be cut, is that correct?
Yes, sir. We were able to compromise, and the tree company was willing to leave up half because she threatened me with legal action.
And the agent who went there, in her report, Steve, she recommends that we require the resident to plant 4 saplings in place of the 4 trees that have been cut or in the process of being cut.
Yes.
How do you feel about that, Steve?
Well, how much does a sapling cost?
I don't know what a sapling costs. How do you feel about that, Steve?
I mean, I'll plant them in different locations closer to the bank. But the reason I cut these trees down was for the safety of my family. I also want to talk to my neighbor before I plant them so it doesn't impede his property anytime in the next 10 or 15 years while the tree grows. I have no problem doing it. I would probably wait till spring like the other people on Flat Hill Road suggested and wait till April before the frost. If I have to send you a picture to prove it, I will. But I also, I don't really feel it's necessary to force somebody to plant trees, but if that's the law that the town adopted by the state, which I know is a new thing they've come out with, I will do it.
And so, Steve, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to Brianna's report.
Yep.
Let's see, the 3 trees that were cut down were 68 to 70 feet, and the other tree is within 35 to 40 feet.
I measured out, it was 70 feet, the tree that we measured with the tree company. Now, Brianna came out, did a great job, did her job precisely. You know, that's fine. I will plant trees where I need to plant them. But I don't want to plant them anywhere that's going to be obscuring my yard.
And so, speaking as one member of the commission, you know, the 3 trees that are 68 to 70 feet, those are a fair distance away from the resource area. The tree that's 35 to 40 feet, I could see, I personally could see, you know, asking for replacement trees for that. And that's my opinion. And I think you should be allowed to cut down the remaining tree. But let's see what the rest of the commission feels. I'm going to start with Rich Bursch. Do a straw poll.
I'm just bringing them up on the map, Bob. If you go on to the next member, I'll have a comment in a moment.
All right, thank you so much. Mike LaRouche.
Are any of these trees within the 30-foot buffer zone?
No.
They're not. They're in the 50 or beyond?
They're the 3 trees that were already cut down were 68 to 70 feet. And the remaining tree that you see that's still standing is 35 to 40 feet.
Well,
what are your thoughts, Mike?
My thoughts that, you know, that the one that's about needs to be cut, that's halfway cut, you know, I can see that one being in question. The others probably not, given that they're out of the 30-foot buffer. But I certainly like your idea about the replacement or Charlotte's replacement schedule of those trees. Now, is she recommending 4 trees per tree that was cut or 4 trees total?
I interpret it to recommend 4 trees, and I personally think that's excessive, but I'm not gonna repeat that, you know, so I already said what I thought. I thought, you know, trees in place of this one that's closer would be appropriate, but not the other, but I'm one member of the commission and I'm looking for your opinion, so,
Yeah, I'll go along with you, Bob. I agree that the one that's closest to the buffer zone probably should have some tree replacement. Beyond that, you know, I guess we could recommend replacement. However, I don't think we can enforce that. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mike. Mike LaRouche, I'm sorry, Rich Tremblay?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. I'd like to ask Steve what the plan is for the stumps before I make a comment.
Well, the plan was to remove them, and hopefully, you know, I understand now I have to come and apparently grovel in front of you guys to get that done. Now, I have no problem putting the hay barrels up and doing what is needed, but I would like to get this work done sooner than later, before winter begins. Because I have not only on my property, but I'm going to do multiples on my other neighbor's property, and I only want to rent the stump grinder once. Now, if I have to go buy hay barrels and do the job according to the Conservation Commission's requirements, which I couldn't find on your website, I will say that I will do it. And if I need to come back for a public hearing, which sadly I can't come to the 15th meeting because I'm on duty, I would like to get the work done sooner than later, though. So the goal is to remove them because they were a hazard, and the stumps are still a hazard, not only to me, but other aspects of my property. The runoff is limited from the tree within the buffer zone. The other trees that I cut down were next to my neighbor's property, which literally would mean his house. We live on slabs. There is no difference in the soil samples. There's no change in direction. It is just the stumps.
All right, thank you, Steve. Bob, that tree that's 35 to 40 feet from the top of the bank, I think that one definitely needs to be replaced. And
Okay.
I'd like to see a plan about taking up these stumps and the grade and what's going to happen to that area if permission is given to take the stumps out of the ground.
Thank you, Richard. Chris St. Germain?
I'm kind of following along with what Richard Tremblay said. I agree with him.
Thank you, Chris. Rick, back to Rich Birch now.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. I would agree with what the other commissioners had said as far as replacing the one tree that's within the 50-foot no build zone. And making sure that we do get a plan, even just hand drawn, something that we do have on file showing some erosion protection when the stumps are ripped out. I mean, those are fairly good sized stumps, so you will have a fair amount of disturbance and a plan for revegetating it. It looks like you're going to, because it is in the in your lawn, so I would imagine you're just going to try to regrade that, loam and seed it. Is that correct, sir?
Possibly. I've been working on other options going forward, but possibly.
Okay. Well, where it is within 100 feet of the wetland buffer zone, you know, any plan that you have for the removal of the stump and replacement or remediation of the area will need to be filed for.
So how do I file that? Like, how do I get this expedited so I can get it done?
That would be a request for determination of applicability filing, which I'm sure the application is on the website. Or
I have to be at the public hearing on the
chair can-
15th to get this done, because I'm sorry, but I'm on duty. I cannot make that meeting.
Okay.
Could I have somebody come out and do the site plan and then be okayed? Even though
Yeah, or
sadly,
you can certainly have a representative represent you at the 15th
I'm
meeting.
afraid I don't have that either.
Okay.
I would, first of all, I'd like to ask both Mr. Wright and Mr. Birch to address their comments to the chair.
Sorry about that.
That's quite all right, and I understand how that gets going. it's my personal thought that this could be handled as an enforcement order. To eliminate the need for a you know, for an RDA, where we could take and approve the removal of this tree. And with the stipulation that the stumps be ground and 2 replacement trees be planted in the area where the between where the tree this tree is and the resource area, which means, like, you know, Mr. Wright suggested he would want to plant them closer or farther away from his house, you know, closer to where the wet is, and that there be erosion control put in when the stumps are being ground. We could do that, or we could file an RDA.
So, can I just
and-
address one thing, sir?
Go ahead, Steve.
If I'm interpreting what you said correctly was, and I just want to make sure I'm right, the tree can come down. I do have to
I'm one
point-
member. No, this commission has.
No, I know.
decided that.
I'm just
suggesting that.
No, I know. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you clearly, sir. So you personally or recommended the tree comes down. I plant 2 saplings, 3 or 4, whatever, you know, Charlotte did on the report. I have it right here. And that if I put up the hay barrels, I can remove the stumps forthwith after the tree's gone. Is that how I interpreted what you said correctly?
That was what I said. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Or we could have them file an RDA, one or the other. Would someone like to make a motion? I'm not in the habit of making motions when I'm chairing the meeting, but I'll make a motion that we, under enforcement actions, that we have this tree cut down as a safety issue, allow the applicant to the target of the enforcement action to cut the tree down so long as he has the stumps ground with erosion protections in place while the stumps are being ground, and that the areas be loamed and seeded, and that the 2 saplings be planted in the vicinity of this last tree that's within 50 feet of the resource area. That was a motion.
I'll second that.
And we have a second by Rich, by Chris St. Germain. Is there further discussion? We're gonna do a roll call vote. Rich Birsch.
Aye.
Mike LaRouche.
Aye.
Rich Tremblay.
Aye.
Chris St. Germain.
Aye.
And I for myself. Good night, Mr. Wright.
Thank you very much, sir. You as well.
Mary, you are
Thank you,
once again
Bob.
the chair. You are once again the chair.
I appreciate that. Okay, so moving along, we have 143 Island Road, which we just discussed that. Yeah, we just discussed that in the continued hearings. 10 Mass Ave.
We're waiting. I think we're waiting for a full-time agent on that one. That was like the last thing that Leah was gonna take and send them a notice. Or we could take and ask one of our agents to send them a notice that they have to file an RDA.
I think that's the appropriate action to take there. We've got great interim administrators working with us right now. We could ask. I'd like for them to send a a notice to 10 Mass Ave and tell them they need to file an RDA. Any questions about that, Charlotte?
No, I am just in the process of writing the notes for that, so I just need a second to catch up. So the commission would like for us to reach out to the applicant to request an RDA.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
the applicants, Leah Grigoff, who was our agent, and left us, was our interim agent. She had been down there having a dialogue with them. They had pushed a whole bunch of stuff over so that it was, you know, into, close enough to the resource area that, you know, permission would have been required. She asked them to put up erosion controls. They never, and told them if they didn't put in erosion controls, she was gonna come back and ask them to do an RDA. They never put in the erosion controls. She left and that ball hit the ground.
Okay, so that would be a stipulation in the RDA that they'll need to have erosion controls up.
Well, at this point, we want them to submit an RDA because they're not paying any attention, you know, to a more friendly, you know, low-key approach. And so when you have people to take that attitude, well, then you bring it up a notch, so.
Okay, and then what are the applicants' names? Just so I can have them
I
in the
have
notes.
no clue.
Okay, that's
we'll
fine.
have-
I can search on the parcel ID and
Yeah,
everything.
it's the smoke shop down there in the corner of
Okay.
Pleasant and it's between Pleasant Street and the marijuana shop.
And it's across the street from Central Mass Power Sports.
Yep.
And it's 10 Massachusetts Ave?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Mass Ave. Okay. It was different in the parcel ID. Okay. So that looks like Lance Rosel, I think. So I'll just add that to the notes.
Okay, thank you. And then 39 Island Road, which was actually one of the new hearings that didn't get the ads up soon enough. So that one we're still tracking for the 15th.
Yep.
So that gets us to the end of enforcements. I think was all of the interest for our members of the public. Cesaria, did we cover what you had hoped to hear? I thought you said you were on with an interest for enforcements and violations.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, we'll then proceed back to new business and get back on track. Just make a note here so I'm clear on what we've covered and what we haven't. Okay, new business. So we have a couple of topics here, but one thing that I did want to bring up that's not on the agenda, but I do want to talk to my commissioners about. I'm wondering if there's not a opportunity to do another public awareness campaign. So Steve Wright, that was just on the call, did bring up that he wasn't aware of Conservation Commission, not the wetlands protections laws or the municipal bylaws. We've had a number of other people that have been before us in the past year who seem to espouse a similar lack of awareness. And I think it has been a while since we did a public awareness campaign. So I'm advocating that maybe we do another round and open to suggestions and comment.
I like the idea a lot. I think it's a great idea. I think it's warranted.
And what have we done in the past? Any of our members that have been on for a while?
I can't find the reactions thing again.
That works.
What we did in the past is we made up a little brochure, which we still have somewhere.
Mhm.
And we put it in the tax bills. It cost us a few bucks, which I believe actually came out of like Adam Burney's budget somewhere or other. And or the administrative budget, not one of our two funds, out of the general fund somewhere. And we sent it out to everybody, and I thought it was fairly effective, and I think it's a good idea to do it again, because it won't surprise me if we won't continue to get people coming to us professing ignorance, of the need to comply. But at least if that happens, we can say, well, we had it in the tax bill, in January of 2024. You received it with your tax bill, kind of thing. So that would be my suggestion. And we could also do a lot more with our website, with like when do you need to apply, that kind of stuff. I did some research on other towns' websites, and I saw some towns, that had stuff like that. And actually that's part of what I'm working on as far as or I was working on as far as application instructions and guidelines. So I'm done now. My hand is down. Oh, Rich Birch can find the reactions panel.
Yeah, Rich, thank you.
Hey, I would suggest if we do have that brochure, it was pretty well done. I think it was Carl Luck and I forgot her name now.
Katie
Unfortunately.
Childs.
Katie Childs had set that up. That perhaps we ask and see if that can get digitized and put on our website.
Well, that's a good idea.
That would be a very quick answer to at least get some of that information out there. Thank you.
Chris, your hand is up. You have the floor.
Yes, I think on our homepage on the community, on the Conservation Committee homepage, there should be something that jumps out at them about what they need to do, something about wetlands, something to catch their eye, so they don't have to dive too deep into the site. I'm not very good with Facebook and that stuff, but something needs to be done where when you get to that first page, we capture what we're trying to let the public be aware of. I know what I want to do. I don't know how to do it.
Good suggestion. Okay, so any other commentary? Anybody opposed to the idea? It doesn't seem like anybody's opposed to the idea. Rich Birch? Yes, you have your hand up.
How's that better?
Yeah.
So somebody's already taken the brochure is on our webpage under
Well, look at
Wetland Act information, as well as the Wetland Protection Act.
The links are there, yeah.
The regulations, yeah. So there is quite a bit of, there is information on here that would provide somebody some answers and would at least elicit some more investigation and generate a call to the office. So, and as a 30-year member, this is a never-ending problem that people do without asking permission, looking for forgiveness. But we do have that on the website, just a click off our main page.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's, and Bob said this, right? There's always going to be folks that try to kind of game the system a little bit with the I don't know. My interest is helping people that want to do the right thing and are interested in doing the right thing and genuinely caught off guard. And I do believe there are uninformed members of the public out there that fall into that category. Is this the brochure that you guys were talking about? There used to be one that was a really
Lunenburg
nice
Wetlands brochure,
diagram.
right there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like this one. It's got the nice diagram there. Yeah, I like this one. So is this the one that was sent out with the tax bill before?
It is.
Yes, it is. Which I would still recommend we do again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see anything there that's changed. I think it gets the, it's got the picture right to help everybody understand and definitions and regulated activities. I think it's lovely.
We might want to check the
Contact info.
URL for the website, given that they've just redone the entire town website. So
Yeah, I think we'd want to check this, and I think we may want to strike that since nobody's currently monitoring. Well, it depends on whether we get, an administrator by the time full-time administrator by the time we're able to execute and get the phone line manned again. I almost would recommend that we add, it's easy to get a QR code. In addition to get it linked to the website so that you have both. But a lot of folks, particularly, the younger generations, are really keen on just being able to take a photo of a QR code and go to a website as well. Okay. So what do we need to do to put that in action? We need to actually update that brochure.
we
get
would need to,
agreement.
one, update the brochure,
Yeah.
and two, someone would need to write to the tax collector and probably copy Heather on it, asking what would be the deadline for getting it into the January tax bill and how much would it cost?
Would they be able to tell us how much it costs, or would they just tell us how many they send out and then we'd have to figure out what the cost was and the printing?
Last time they told us in advance how much it cost, and Matt Morrow found it in the general fund from the office account somewhere or other. Is my recollection.
Okay. So I don't think this is the most urgent thing for our office staff to do right now, because even though we have two interim administrators and part-time, we still are woefully behind in urgent business. So I think this would be something that, or at least I would recommend that this is something that we put early on, when we have a full-time hires onboarded, put on their to-do list. But in the interim, I could at least write to the tax collector and find out like what the deadline is. So we're clear on that. And for the deadline for the next two tax bills, so that we're clear on what those deadlines are, and see if we can get a cost assessment and budget support as well. And then we can work the schedule whenever the full-time person is hired and onboarded. Would
Mary, I'll
anybody?
do that. I'm working on that right now, that email.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Would anybody advocate for a different priority in managing that recommendation?
I'm sorry, what?
Would anybody advocate for a different priority
Oh, I'm
in
sorry.
managing
Yeah.
that? And I'm not seeing any hands, so we'll go with this as routine but important business to manage too. The next item on our business agenda is application instructions and guidelines. And Bob, the last time we talked about that, you had been sidelined and were recommending that we ask for support from our interim administrators, but I don't know if that's actually been handed off or not.
It has not been handed off, and I don't know if it's appropriate to hand it off at this time.
Okay, fair enough. I'm in agreement with not handing it off to the interim administrators, but making it the routine, making it more routine business for when we onboard a new person. And I see, do we have any commentary about that? I have to just look up from the agenda for a minute, see if anybody wants to comment. I'm not seeing anybody with raised hands. Okay, I also see that NCLT has planned conservation restrictions review to the Halls site.
Yeah, so I don't know if all the members are aware, but we when the Hawes or Hollis Road property was established, the land is owned by the Lunenburg Conservation Commission, but the conservation restriction there is actually managed by the North County Land Trust. And by the same token, the North County Land Trust owns the Peabody property, but the Conservation Commission manages the conservation restriction there. And we take and North County Land Trust, has a full-time staff, and they're pretty religious about coming out and doing a site walk once a year, to just check the property out and make sure that it's still being managed properly. And they usually send a follow-up report about questions usually about the stuff around the residence or the pollinator habitat, not out in the woods. And so the person from North County Land Trust would like to go out and do that site visit in the afternoon on November 20th, and she wanted to know, is someone from the commission willing to come with her? Otherwise, she'll go out and do it all by herself. And so I said I'd put it on the agenda tonight and see if there was any volunteers. And so
I actually was looking at my calendar to see when November 20th is. Oh, it's a Monday. That would knock me out of the running for it.
Me as well.
Madam Chair, what time is that meeting, or Bob?
It's in the afternoon.
I would be glad to accompany the person on Monday.
Then I will respond to the email and copy you on it, saying.
Is it Emily?
It's Emily. Yes, it's Emily.
Okay.
That's super.
That would be
Thank you,
great.
Mike.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you representing us there with that. It seems like from the last time they did that, we got some good feedback from them, which I appreciate. Okay, next on the agenda list is review of coordination of staff activities and documenting commission decisions for past and future meeting. So we do have a lot of hands at the pump right now, and coordination is a bit of a challenge, right? Being clear on what are all the activities and deliverables requested of the Conservation Commission and the Conservation Commission office, all inclusive. Who is supporting what? Do we have any gaps in support? And then it also appears that we have a lot of our decisions from previous meetings that we're not, the orders of conditions, et cetera, have not been actually sent out for signature and acted upon, not distributed. So in an attempt to try to coordinate this, I had asked Ashley if she could put together a task tracker for us and for our, herself and the interim administrators. Just, real high level notes like here's here's a violation that was reported. Here's a, a project that's been opened, an NOI or whatnot that needs site visit. Any number of the various deliverables we're asked to support, so that then it would make it pretty seamless, I think, for Charlotte and Brianna and Ashley to kind of be clear on, oh, hey, I don't get that one because Brianna's already got that one, or, oh, I don't need to get that one because Charlotte's already got that one, or Ashley's already done it. And then also for me and Bob, who's been absolutely wonderful being my leg man, getting into the office during the day and meeting people when I'm not able to, know what is being acted on, what the priorities being managed to, and what, if any, gaps that we have. But it's not really clear to me right now that that tracker is able to be supported. I think Ashley's taken a stab at it, but there seems to be a little bit of controversy about, as you guys know, the Conservation Commission and Conservation Commissioners are not the managers for the office staff. So there seems to be some controversy about whether it's appropriate for Ashley to support that ask. But I've sent a note to Heather and asked her to Julie and Heather and asked them to confirm. And they're disinclined to confirm or to say no, which means Ashley's left in an area where she doesn't feel like she has an endorsement to do it. And worse, in a position where she may be in jeopardy if she does do it without authorization. I've asked Heather to confirm to me how we might go about managing the multiple resources and having visibility to who's doing what. And particularly, I'm concerned about overtime, right? Because projects start now with interim support, will need to be followed through completion of the project, right? And somewhere we're going to need to have a record of who did what, because that might help us understand where or how to follow up if something's missing. But I'd not heard back from Heather today on that request. Questions, comments, thoughts? Anybody have other ideas about how we might keep track of all these activities?
Hire a full-time administrator.
That's great. I agree. But until then, I'm
Have
not
more
certain.
cooperative upper management at town hall.
Yeah, I'm a little bit puzzled by the challenges that we're having, to be honest with you. But I'm not seeing that anybody has any other comments or recommendations to make in terms of how we navigate this, right, and provide some type of continuity over time. So we'll move on. Okay. Commissioner access to documentation of decisions. Bob, I think you sponsored this one on the agenda.
Yeah, I did. It's to me, we should be working on it long term, not tonight, on a process where unless Rich knows something I don't, I'm not able to access all of our the enforcement orders, all of the forms that are sent out to applicants, when we approve an RDA, when we deny an RDA, when we approve an NOI, the order of conditions. I don't know how to access those, and it seems to me like the commissioner should be able to access those. It's been really trying, here you have volunteers whose job really shouldn't be doing this, trying to figure out what's been issued and what hasn't, and we don't have any access, and you're trying, and I think going forward, we should, figure something out with that. Richard.
Rich,
Hey,
yes.
so a couple years ago, the town went to the online permitting system, and I forget exactly what the name was. I know we tried a couple times to
Vision,
get, what's that?
Vision something or other.
Yeah, open something, or in fact, I was on it the other day, and doesn't seem like we're using it at all for any of our permit applications.
I think it's OpenGov.
Is that what it is, OpenGov?
It's for building permits. I don't think that, I mean, I'm sure that there could be a way to do conservation through there as well, but right now it's just for building. And
So what Matt had started, and he was working with Adam, and at one point we actually, I thought, had it up and running to process, because we have dual application process for both the Wetland Protection Act and the Lunenburg bylaw. So we were doing all of the bylaw permitting through the online portal, through the land use department. And that would give us a database that all applications and approvals or denials would go through. And we just have never been able to get that off the ground. Unfortunately, I don't think there's one database that holds all of our applications and supporting documentation and decisions and things like that, other than that one OpenGov permitting system. But if we got that up and running, then we would have every permit. I believe we could do enforcement orders through there. We could do follow-ups. At least it would give us one database that holds all of the information per application.
Well, it sounds cool.
Yeah, and I actually thought I had it running here a second ago. And at one time, all of the members had their own logins to go onto that database. And that was what it was. I was on there and mine was taken away. Now I'm just back to being a resident. But we can certainly look into that once we get a full-time administrator back up and running.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea.
Give us a spot.
I see that Bob has found a way to raise his hand, so I think we should all acknowledge this success story.
Yay!
He also knows how to lower his. Oh, it's already been lowered. And that's a wonderful idea. Well, we would have one heck of a lot of work to do to get to a point where there's sufficient information online so that people could, like apply for their RDA from home, without coming in. I mean, I can see where we would need to have someone sit with a lot of applicants, and basically do it for them. Because they're not computer savvy enough to, to apply. I mean, I don't think we have any trouble with our professional, like the engineers and stuff that apply for NOIs. But I know at one point, back when we had a full office staff, there was some thought to doing like double entry, like putting them into the database, the ones that were submitted by hand, which are most of them. And it was like it became another thing to do that that the office staff couldn't possibly keep up with. And there was also some talk, I don't know, are they all being submitted, the NOIs, are they being submitted to DEP through EDP now? Charlotte, do you know that, or are people still emailing them in, or do you know that, Charlotte? Through you, Madam Chair?
Charlotte, do you know the answer to that? I've lost Charlotte. Charlotte, you're on mute if you're trying to talk. Oh, maybe Charlotte had to have a bio break or something. Yeah. Yeah, I certainly don't know.
But
I- I was just gonna ask, is when you were saying and just, to confirm understanding, when you're saying the majority of them are submitted by hand, does that mean, you mean to imply that the majority of the workload is non-professional generated, so like members of the public as opposed to civil engineers or whatnot?
Most RDAs coming from members of the public, not from civil engineers.
Okay.
Some of them are handwritten, some of them are typed on the PDF. You can see when you call them up, in the meeting docs, some of them are handwritten. Most of them are typed on a PDF.
Mm-hmm.
I know when Matt was full-time, he used to come in and he used to do them for a lot of the applicants. Back in the
Okay.
some halcyon good old days. Richard Birch has his hand up. I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah,
I just,
Rich.
are you advocating that we can't have people applying online, Bob?
I'm not, I'm just saying it's there. I'm just saying there are challenges. That's all I'm saying, Rich.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because actually, it looks like right now on the portal, notice of intents, RDAs and ANRADs are already set up.
Super.
And it's basically just filling out the fields with your name, address, parcel number, and you upload your hand-drawn map.
Super.
Yeah,
I love it.
It really wasn't all that hard. It just, it takes a little bit of time. Honestly, for those of us that don't go to the registry anymore, it's not really much harder than going online and getting your license renewed. So I think we're finally far enough into the 21st century that most people should be able to log on and fill out some fields and take a picture of a napkin drawing with their phone and upload it. And we're also in the time frame now that we don't have the staff anymore to do a lot of this menial stuff. So it does tend to fall back on applicants to fill out their own application. But yeah, and looking at it, there are three applications now that are on the portal that we can start with, or at least make sure are completed at some point in the hopefully near future. Then at least moving forward, we'll have online access to all of this. Then that saves having to upload it to the drive or upload it to other places if everybody's responsible to just go on and put your updated meeting information on here.
Yeah, I think that would be cool, as long as it, helps and doesn't create its own workload. But it seems like most folks are kind of becoming, more aware of how to do online forms, online, everything is online these days, right? So almost everybody, all members of the public for the most part, are having to do online requests of some nature. So I think it'd be a good thing to try to push people towards.
Yeah, I think where it's there, it might serve some of the problems that we have once we get an administrator and they can familiarize themselves with the system. And they should be familiarizing themselves with the system anyways, because that's how they go through and see what the other departments in the land use building are doing, and can bring up the maps and bring up the applicant information that's submitted with their applications. It was helpful.
Any other commentary about that? I think it's a great suggestion. But I do think something we go to when we're back to full staff and a little bit less underwater. Okay, Bob, I'll let you talk to this next one because I think you have the information firsthand. There was a proposal to shift the commission file data from Google Drive to SharePoint.
I went into the office and Brianna was for some other purpose. And I was I wasn't expecting to see Brianna there, but Brianna was there. And also, the town manager was there, and they were sitting there talking. And, we started talking about different stuff. And, during that conversation, the town manager found out that the commission currently keeps all of their meeting docs in a Google Drive, that, was created by one of its members. And at that moment in time, Brianna did not have access to the Google Drive. And the town manager made a declaration, well, that can't be, this has to be migrated, to a town controlled drive, in the Microsoft environment, like SharePoint. And I cautioned her that, if that was gonna happen, the commission would need to be full partners. There'd need to be training. There would need to be, make sure that, no data got lost, that we still be able to search our past documents the way we can now. And there need to be some two-way discussions in advance, not a unilateral action, and then the commission is informed about it afterwards. I don't know to the extent to which she heard me, but I just want to make the members aware that that's out there. And so, that's all I'm doing, is making aware that that's out there. And I'm hoping that we don't get an email one day saying that it's, that this has happened.
Yeah, thanks for raising visibility on that, Bob. I actually would be very concerned about that happening, particularly right now. I mean, longer term, I think it makes a lot of sense because these are legal files and we want to make certain that they are archived and supported and have the, all of the, disaster recovery, et cetera, that you would expect for a legal archive. But I would be very concerned if anybody was proposing or taking action to do this. While we're understaffed, and given the current status of communications that we're enjoying, I would be very concerned. So I would propose to send a follow-up email to the town manager to ask for clarification on that. I see that we have some commissioners have raised their hand. I'll call on Chris St. Germain.
Thanks, Madam Chair. My questions are, I don't care either way if it's Google Drive or SharePoint, but I'd like to understand why SharePoint's being brought up. I was under the assumption that the Google Drive was a commissioned site, and it was also, I was in the assumption that Google Drive does have, adequate backups. Why SharePoint? Why is SharePoint being proposed over Google Drive?
Bob, do you know the answer to that?
Well, our Google Drive is not being managed by IT.
Oh,
It's
okay.
being managed by a commissioner.
Okay.
It was created by a commissioner. And it's being managed by a commissioner. And,
okay.
So I think that's and I think that's from Heather's point of view as a manager, she finds that not acceptable.
No, that's a good point. That's why I asked the question. That's a good answer. Thank you.
Rich Birch.
Thank you. So Heather did reach out to me in a joint email with the IT about porting all of the data over to SharePoint. I did respond and say that I am available to assist in that. I haven't heard any more about it. So I did create the Google Drive with Matt, and he was the administrator and had all of the passwords to it. When he left, he passed off the information to Adam Burney, who became the admin and the contact, and I just kept a backup access to it because Adam didn't have time to admin it while Matt was gone and we were trying to find a new administrator. Then we passed it off to Nadia, and then Nadia left, and we haven't had really an administrator to go back in and take care of it again. So at any point, if Heather is concerned, I can certainly they can update the password and not tell me what the admin password is, and then I'm completely back out of it again. So I happen to have an admin password currently just because there's nobody else that has the access and the full knowledge of it. So, but at any time it can be secured by personnel in the land use department. So it's not something that I have perpetual access to. That at any time they can change the password and then I'm back out of it again, which is fine with me. I have no problem with that. But there is a tremendous amount of information on here, so it may take them a while to figure out how to port it all over. So just wanted to bring you up to speed, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that clarification, Rich. You know, and your summary there is kind of consistent the way I had understood the way the roles and responsibilities are bouncing around a little bit with regard to that as well. Yeah, and I've not seen any communication from the town manager about it at all.
Don't you love that when she doesn't copy the chair?
Yeah.
Um,
that would never happen.
Not consistent with the way my expectations. Let's just say it like that. Bob, I see your hand up.
Well, it sounds to me like, you know, at this point, someone from IT could be made an administrator, and that might, you know, solve the immediate concerns. You know, could be added as an administrator, and that might solve the immediate concerns without having to port the whole thing all over. But again, I would hope that there would be a dialogue, not like unilateral, decisions, you know, behind the scenes, you know, without the full involvement of the chair.
Agreed. And the current password was the password set up and should be stored with Adam Burney's information when he left.
Yeah. Okay. I actually have absolutely no visibility to the information that that he was left, nor the TOI that Leah gave to him, and presumably that he gave to Julie with regard to Conservation Commission affairs. Anyway, okay, if there's I'll follow up with Heather directly on that, just to try to create a dialogue in the place of the vacuum, and we'll go from there. Bob, I do appreciate you ensuring visibility on that. Then the last thing is on the business, the new business is release of the third Wednesday town hall meeting space. Conservation Commission did have a perpetual reservation on that. And I certainly have no intention of going back to an in-person meeting while the governor is still allowing us to do Zoom meetings. My own personal view is the Zoom meetings allow much more fluid access by members of the public. And particularly when we have hearings or concerns that generate a lot of public interest, the Zoom meetings really do provide people access, and I do believe that is in the interest of the public and in the spirit of the open meeting law. So my intent is to continue doing Zoom meetings and not in-person meetings for as long as we are allowed to do so. So I have not heard that that was controversial in the short term. So the Parks Commission needed that reservation. I did go ahead and release that meeting space because we weren't using it. Of course, I want to ensure visibility to my fellow commissioners, provide you an opportunity to, you know, comment, or, you know, if you want to advocate for a different strategy there, certainly open to the dialogue, right? And you know, if we want to go back and make some reservations, right? I'm interested in supporting the commission as a whole. We're a team. Bob, you have a comment?
I love Zoom. I don't ever want to go back to in person unless we're forced to.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Chris St. Germain.
I second that.
Yeah, this is much better. And I mean, in terms of helping people see the you know, the drawings, right, and be clear, and to be able to fluidly zoom in on a particular area of interest, you know, the 30-foot zone and by a big parcel or whatnot, it provides us a lot of flexibility that's just cumbersome in a physical meeting. Bob, you have your hand up again.
Yeah, I would also point out that it makes all of our meetings available to the public on YouTube, the full things. I don't know how much more transparent you can get than that. It used to be that every other meeting was broadcast. We would meet over there on the second floor of the town hall. Every other meeting would be broadcast over, you know, public TV and or community TV, and that would be available. But the other meetings were not. And now 100% of our meetings are available because they're via Zoom. And I think that's also an important aspect of this innovation.
I agree wholeheartedly there. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move along to old business. And do we have any updates on the Timber Rights Fund?
None.
Any updates on Sean Kelly Estate?
Money's been deposited. I've not been able to find out if it's been set up in a fund, what the fund number is, what we would have to do to spend it. I'm going to launch right into the next one, which is staff access to the Munis accounts. Karen comes in just a few days a week. She's working on high level stuff. There's a consultant that was hired named Steve Barrett. And he just was set up on an email address last week. He's basically become like an employee, except he's a contractor, you know, being paid through a consulting firm. And, you know, I talked to him about right now, Ashley, whose job it is to take and process purchase orders and pay bills and stuff like that, has no access to Munis. It was lost when they switched to the new Munis system. And I said to Steve, I said, well, we got to get her some training. And he said, we're trying to close out last year, the last fiscal year, which normally they would have completed by now. And it will be at least 2 or 3 weeks before we can do that. So, and while I was standing there talking to Steve, the lady from the Board of Assessors came out, Sheila, and she said, I can't do purchase orders now either. So I guess it's fairly widespread, you know, the lack of access to Munis throughout town, you know, so you can conduct normal business.
Thank you for that update.
And also, by the way, I believe, but I'm not positive, that a lot of the bills they've been sitting unpaid got paid. I happened to go over to see Steve Barrett, and he was looking for the fund numbers. He didn't have access to the fund numbers or the accounts for the Timber Rights Fund or for the Hawes Gift Fund, you know, that the Hollis Road expenses are paid out of. And I was able to give him those because I have them on my cell phone. And he said he was going to try and get those bills paid in the warrant on at the select board meeting that was eight days ago. So it could be that a lot of those bills, you know, like for the carpet and all that stuff, have finally been paid, but I'm not sure of that either. And it's hard to even get anybody to even go in there and get people's time, you know, to ask questions. So it's a predicament.
Yeah, what a mess. I see Mike has his hand raised.
Yes, Madam Chair, and as of this morning, the carpet invoice has not been paid, as I got a call from the vendor saying he's sending out his sixth invoice to us. And I told him that as far as I knew, Ashley had submitted the purchase order request that Karen had asked for, but I'm sort of in the dark. I thought it would have been paid by now. However, according to the vendor, it has not, they have not received anything from the town. That's all I have.
That's horrible. Unfortunate. Thank you for that update, Mike.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Bob. Update on MACC memberships. The last communication I had seen from, I think it was from Ashley, was that we no longer have MACC membership, and that she is not able to resolve getting us back in because it was allowed to lapse, and we don't have a means to pay to get back in now. Is that consistent with your visibility, Bob?
As far as I know, that was one of the things, that was one of the bills that she was trying to get paid. I don't know if it got paid, you know, in that one, because I don't know what happened, you know, that Steve's hoped that it would get paid that night, but you know, I don't know what happened.
Chris St. Germain, you have a comment?
Yeah, I on my welcome letter to this commission, I was given a link. You know, I was told to go get the MACC handbook, but when I go to the site, they want to charge me. Is that because we don't have that account anymore, that I have to pay for
Yeah,
it?
that's exactly right. It's because we don't. So generally speaking, we get all the conservation commissioners a membership to MACC. The handbook itself is a separate access that we pay for, but it's nominal for online access. I think it's like $25 a year per person. And then access to MACC gets you all of the free, you know, they have like lunch and learns, et cetera. Then it also gets you a discounted rate to a lot of both virtual classes and discounted rates to even on-site, you know, tutorials and whatnot that are happening around the state.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's I'm pretty upset about that myself. But yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, do we have an update on any of the encroachment issues listed here, 950 Chase Road or 315 Lancaster Ave?
On Monday, I signed a statement of fact, which was filed with the court on 950 Chase Road. It's my understanding that they were served today by a constable with a notice that there'll be a hearing on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock tomorrow. At 2 o'clock, and the town is asking for an injunction to take and get them to move the shed off the property, you know, right away. If they don't get the injunction, you know, then we have to wait, you know, to get on the court's docket, which could be like 2 or 3 or 4 years. And so the request for an injunction is an attempt to expedite the process. And so that's where we're at. And on the other one, 315 Lancaster, I'm waiting for us to have staff. So we can take and ask that has time. So we can ask them to write a new letter, to the people who live there, asking for an update on, what's happened. Because before they said they were gonna get their land surveyed and all this other stuff. And it could be that it all has happened. But I mean, because it happened on the Mulpus Road property. I went over there one day and it had been surveyed and there were stakes and stuff was moved. You know, so it could be all the stuff has happened at Lancaster, but you know, I think we need to reach out to them again, and I'm waiting for us to have some staff to actually do that.
I agree with you. I think that's more of a routine priority. So waiting until we're back at full staff makes the most sense to me. And we'll deal with all the urgencies while we're running an interim status. So we had
I don't know if that, you know, I prepared this agenda in the absence of staff. I don't know if
Yeah.
the 351 Mass Ave
we
is
approved it
real,
last
or if
time.
that's an artifact from the last meeting.
Yeah, it's an artifact. We approved a 3-year extension last time. But I do want to acknowledge you preparing the agenda, Bob, in the absence of staff. Ashley was out last week. And I think you did a great job and you got it done. And even went so far as there was incorrect agendas that had been posted, and did some research and some groundwork there to help us keep that from happening again. So I do very much appreciate that.
Same thing with the certificate of compliance. I don't know if that's real or if that's a artifact from a prior meeting.
That one needs a site visit, and should be on our should be one of the things that we're tracking for our interim commissioners or interim administrators to do.
Which one is that again?
176 Elmwood Road.
Okay. So they have applied for a COC and they need a final site inspection.
They do, yeah. We need to
Okay.
compare the
as-built?
as-built drawings to and the order of conditions to the actual physical condition of the
Yes.
site.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and then we've done the enforcements. There's nothing in emergency certifications. Open space and land use, minor update on the no updates on the Lunenburg Conservation Commission sponsored grant that was awarded this year. I'm still behind in doing the contract execution piece of that. Minor update on the Lunenburg Snow Rider sponsored grant. We actually have a couple of Boy Scout troops that are partnering with snow riders and getting out and doing some of the hand clearing up on the small town forest loop that the snow riders were gonna do some trail improvements on as part of that grant. They were gonna go out on Sunday, of course. When they started the plan, there was going to be no rain on Sunday. And the closer we got to Sunday, the earlier in the day, the rain was going to start. I haven't heard back from them if they actually managed to get out last Sunday or if they're going to start fresh this next Sunday. But we certainly appreciate their partnership and their support in helping us maintain our trails. Timber sales, Bob? Any updates there?
Nothing new. I should ping our timber guy to see what's up with that.
How long is that contract good for? I mean, if he's
Don't-
not able to execute it, is there a time limit on it?
I don't know. I should ping him on that too.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know. In particular, that area that we want to do the tree work in. We want to do that timber harvest for a lot of good reasons, but it does abut the area right behind right behind Hannaford, the Hannaford Plaza, that has been heavily logged. And in particular is subject to an ongoing dialogue about whether the last forestry plan had been appropriately executed, because it appears to have been clear cut. So that's a lot of pressure on the wildlife in that area. But I do understand that we have a contract, and a contract has an obligation. So it'd just be nice to know what the limits on that are, if any. Conservation land improvement service project requests. We did get a request from the National Honor Society at the high school for some asking if we had any projects that we wanted them to support. And I sent them a list of things that Bob and I knew about and were tracking, and they have come back and said that they want to get out in the Lane property and do a lot of invasive plant removal. So that's really cool, because I did that back at our Earth Month, as one of the projects, and boy, that is a thankless job. I was sore for 2 weeks after that, with the scratches and the cuts to go along with it. But I am meeting a gentleman out there tomorrow to kind of overview the scope of the project. And he is hoping to have maybe 20 or 35 kids out there working on invasive plant removal in the Lane property.
Score.
Exactly. Exactly. We don't have the worst problem in the Lane property, but we do have the best parking, and therefore parking access in the Lane property. So that's the place that people, I'm directing people to, especially when we have a large party like this. But there's a lot of Oriental bittersweet down there. There's quite a bit of burning bush and multiflora rose. And those are very easily identifiable. So even when the foliage has dropped, it's very easy to identify those and work on eradicating them. So I'm tickled about that. Yes, Chris, you have your hand up.
Yeah, recently I saw on one of the Lunenburg discussion pages on Facebook, somebody complaining that the Conservation Commission should do more like plant removal and specifically burning bush. The reason I'm bringing this up is we should make sure that this is known to the public that we're doing this, so people know that we are doing these types of things.
I actually am glad you brought that up. Somebody else had brought that to my attention, and I was kind of inclined to do a private message to the individual and ask them to volunteer. That we would give them our full support.
That's even better. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I did respond to the individual in saying that all work on conservation land is done by volunteers, that there are no grants, because Carl Gambardella said, well, maybe the Conservation Commission could get grants for this. I said, there are no grants to my knowledge, and we've done some investigation. There are no grants for the removal of invasives. 100% of all work on conservation land is done by volunteers. There are no paid workers. And anybody who's interested should feel free at any time to take in, work on and removing invasive species. For what it's worth, it got like 7 or 8 likes.
Well, it's going to get some more. I'm going to go find it and like it.
And I also said, and Mary Wilson organized a group within the past year to go out and remove invasive species. And to the original poster's credit, she did say, "Oh, I didn't see that. I wasn't aware. I would have volunteered." But
that's cool.
There's a gentleman who lives in Littleton who is forever sending me these long emails about all the things that are wrong with each conservation land when he visits them and what needs to be done to improve them. And I want to hand the guy a shovel, so,
And some clippers.
and some clippers, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Well, that's all interesting. Yeah, I have looked, you know, but I'm certain I haven't looked under all the rocks and behind all the trees. But in particular, I'm very interested in seeing if we could get some grant support for the Japanese knotweed problem that we have over on Table Rock, because that is just pervasive. But I have not found anything that seemed to be
Where
seemed
is
to
it at
be.
Table Rock, Mary?
There are some a little bit on the frontage along Northfield. Almost the entire homestead site is covered in it.
Oh,
Yeah, and there is a volunteer that's going out there, you know, who contacts me, who has been trying to tackle a little bit of the area in the homestead, but you know, the problem with that is as far as I've read in all the literature, is that Japanese knotweed, that if you try to dig it up, it just forces the rhizomes to spread. And the most effective way, and the way that's actually endorsed by the state, is to wait until it's bloomed, and the seeds are dropping, and then go and cut down to like only 2 to 3 branches exposed, and then inject with a herbicide. That's the way that's endorsed by the state. But in order to do herbicide application on public land, you have to have herbicide certification. And I have talked to a lady, I think is the Conservation Commission chair down at Stowe, and her name escapes me right now. They've had a big problem, and she went and got that certification. It seems like it's just a couple of $100 and a couple of seminars to get the certification. Because I was asking her just kind of from a, you know, t-shirt size effort, and it didn't seem like it was monumental to go do it. But Bob, back to your question, you're asking about where it was. So
yeah,
yeah,
I just
and
want to know where to go look. That's all. Thank
yeah,
you.
and it's also Howard Street. It's all along Howard Street up there as well.
Okay, I won't tell you that I've been spraying the poison ivy on the Lane property. I won't tell you that.
No, don't tell me that. Yeah. Anyway, there is a lot of poison ivy on Lane property, and particularly that on that tree that's currently about head height, you know, hanging there across the in that swamp area, covered in poison ivy.
There's even more on the trail that goes out to Gilchrist.
Oh, is there really? Oh, yeah, the one that goes up the hill.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty thick up there too. Yep. Yeah, agreed. Okay, that was my update on service project requests. Are there any other Chris St. Germain? Yes.
Yeah, I haven't participated in a in that type of an event where you're working on invasive species. How do you prep the groups before they go into the woods? Do you hand them something? Do you train them verbally? Like, how does that work?
What we did before was we put it on the list of things that people could sign up for, that you know, April Earth Day events that we co-sponsored with Parks. And then when you know, I didn't think anybody was going to sign up for it, but I had about 8 people sign up for it. So I went down with them. We spent all day on a Saturday. I think we had one session in the morning, one session in the afternoon. And I showed them how to identify it. You know, it's a group of 8 people, so we mostly stayed together. I showed them how to identify, you know, the 3 target species, and then we just went to town.
Okay, just curious. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Moving along. Any updates on the Hollis Road residents? Mike.
Yes. just in lieu of what you were speaking about as far as invasives are concerned, I happened to be in Medford at this environmental fair, and I was speaking with the gentleman about ANAC data. Is anyone familiar with that website? It's interesting that if you have to register essentially, but it's free, and you can be, you can actually tell people about the invasive that you've seen and actually be part of some bigger database where they will record where you've seen the invasive. You have an opportunity to say whether or not you've removed it or just observed. And so people know that a particular area might have invasives, and you have a lot of support, whether or not there's any other sightings in your area. And I just thought it was a fascinating website to be part of. So, if someone wanted to walk through the lane and just point out everything that's invasive and see if anyone else has pointed out areas, there could be some support in that regard. So I just wanted to at least bring that up as a matter of interest. Back to Hollis Road. Speaking of invasives, there are bags of invasives, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, and also debris that the DPW had on their list of things to do if they had time to do so. I'm just getting back into Lunenburg today. I will check to see whether or not DPW has had a chance to pull all of that stuff out. If not, it's that time of year where we ask our one of our friendly volunteers to see if they will do the lawnmower, the riding lawnmower servicing that we had done last year. And he may be inclined to remove those bags of invasives as well as remove the debris. And I will know that tomorrow.
Okay, very good.
The next thing is the painting trim, as far as I know, has been completed. I think the last conversation I had with the facilities director, Chris Ruth, he did not know whether or not the flashing portion of that work had been completed, but I will also find that out tomorrow. And I went to see the work that has already been done, and it looks fabulous as far as the windows that needed to go in, as well as all the trim works, all appears to be all done. So I think we can feel pretty good about going through the winter months, that building should not get any damage from any of the trim work that's been prepared this summer. The other thing I wasn't sure if I mentioned, Chris Ruth is in the process of seeing if he can do some, at least secure some cabinets for the kitchen that we talked about months ago. And he thought perhaps he had some handle on perhaps getting some used cabinets that were in much better condition than the ones that were there. And I will follow up on that as well and get some numbers so we can plan for that for next year.
Excellent.
And that's all I have for right now.
Thank you, Mike. Committee reports. I have, by way of just a light update, we did have the open space planning committee meeting last week. We did have some dialogue there about parcels that the town owns that are adjacent to Lake Shirley. And the committee did vote in favor of making a recommendation to the select board that those parcels be conveyed over to care and control of Parks Commission. And that was really all we talked about at that meeting. Do we have any other committee reports? Rich Tremblay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Stormwater Task Force, we're gonna start that up again. We've been off a few months. I sat with the DPW director and we came up with an agenda, and we'll get that out. And we also discussed at length the Howard Street project up there, the O'Brien property. So hopefully we'll be able to get that on track and help you guys out.
That's excellent. Thank you. Okay, we have a notice of utility work at Sunset Lane. Charlotte, are you in a position to give us an update or summary of that? If not-
No, I actually Sunset Lane. No, I don't know about anything about that. I haven't had time this week, really, because I just started in Groton, so I'm just trying to catch up now with everything.
Okay, yeah, no,
but
that's
no,
fine.
sorry,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I
Oh,
apologize
no,
for
it's
that.
okay.
Yeah.
No, I apologize that I'm not informed to give you an update with that.
You're helping us out by all the things you do, and I do appreciate that a lot. Just searching in my email to see. Here we go. For some reason, I'm having trouble getting these previews to open for attachments. Okay, so it's National Grid. So National Grid's notifying the commission of necessary maintenance work to the electrical distribution line located on Sunset Lane in Lunenburg, Mass. The work will include the removal of a tree guy wire and the installation of a guy anchor. If needed, selective tree trimming removal would be conducted to maintain safe and reliable clearance to the distribution line. The work is considered normal maintenance and will be performed in accordance with the exemption provision identified in the Mass Wetlands Protection Act. The town of Lunenburg wetlands regulations, which allows for maintaining, repairing, or replacing, but not substantially changing or enlarging existing lawfully located structures or facilities. Let's see, what else do they have here? And then they tell us how to go locate the parcel. Anyway, does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Rich Tremblay, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. Work started this week out here on that project. The tree company was out here. They've been trimming a lot of trees and they took a couple down. They told me that new telephone poles are going in and they're going to raise the elevation of the existing wires. So
okay,
that's pretty much all the work that's been done to date.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to have a firsthand account of what's happening down there. Notice of hearings on timber harvesting violations at Mass Ave and then Maple Parkway.
That's a letter we got. We got letters at the office, copies of 3 letters that were sent to the people who did the harvest on the parcel owned by Steve Powell. The targets of the letters are the actual people who did the harvest, not the owner of the property. And they're being called to a hearing, which I believe has already taken place, at which the letter says they're in danger of losing their license because of what happened up there, off of Maple Parkway and Mass Ave. So, it came in the office, so I threw it on the agenda under communications, and I had asked Ashley to put it on the website, into the meeting drive, but I don't know if it ever happened. A copy of them, so.
Oh, yeah, I don't see him.
Yeah, I don't think she ever got to it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Bob. Let's see, so what had happened on, where's Maple Parkway?
Maple Parkway is the road off of White Street. If you go down past,
Ah, okay, that's the access to that parcel.
yeah,
Okay, I got it. Thank you. All right, any other comments by members of the commission? Okay, we have public comment, and Nick has been chatting with me off to the side on Zoom about some requests he had made to the Conservation Commission. Nick, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah,
And
I know.
and do state your full name and address just so that everybody is aware of, where you are and whatnot.
Okay, thank you. Yep, my name is Nick Eaton, 441 Townsend Harbor Road. I know you guys, well, now I know you guys are short-staffed. I've been trying to contact someone in the office for the past couple weeks. My dog's paws have been getting like really cut up from the crushed rock that they put down when my septic was put in. And I'm trying to have it paved just in the front of my driveway over the tanks so I can actually let her out. When it gets cold, like the rocks are like, it's like glass on her paws. And I know you guys usually, obviously I'm within the 100-foot and I have to file an amendment to my order of conditions, which is fine. I'm trying to do it before winter time. And I know you guys are short staffed, but I'm just trying to see what I can get done before it gets too cold and it's too late.
Thank you, Nick. Charlotte, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Nick if you filed an amended order. I was trying to catch up on the emails earlier. I saw your correspondence, but I wasn't sure if you had already filed the amended order.
I have not. I was just waiting for someone to get back to me, and once Mary had told me
Okay.
that you guys were short staffed, I kind of stopped there.
Yeah, this is probably a good place to do that because like we can just tell you right away. But my recommendation would be to fill out the paperwork for the amended order and then write just a letter on what will be changed, how much is going to be paved, and then the commission will vote on whether to grant the order, the amended order.
Thank you, Charlotte. Rich Birch.
Madam Chair, I did have a question for Nick through you.
Yes, please proceed.
Nick, are you planning to pave an area that is already designated as your driveway that's been crushed gravel or stone now?
Yes, it's like literally right in front of it. Used to be paved before the trees hit the house, and then obviously they had to dig it up. I had sent 2 pictures over and I kind of squared off where I want to pave the whole driveway, but just for now, so I can walk the dog.
Madam Chair, I would suggest perhaps having Nick file this as a field change, where as long as the area he's looking to pave has already been designated as a driveway, and if we have a picture that it was paved, all the better, rather than having to have him file for an amendment. But again, as long as it's fully contained within the area that's already been designated as a driveway, that would be a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. So you have that, Nick?
Yep.
Bob Pease, you have your hand raised.
I would second Rich's a recommendation that we handle it, that this be handled as a field change.
Okay. Do we need to deliberate on that and take a vote? It seems to me that we would take a vote on it after he makes that field change submission. Thank you, Bob. Is anybody opposed to that direction? I'm seeing no dissents, nor am I hearing anybody advocate for a different direction. So Nick, you're clear on what to do?
Kind of. I've only had to do the amendment. Do you guys send me some? Is there like a piece of paper that I fill out for the field change?
Well, yeah, and I'll let somebody who's more familiar with the paperwork side of the process comment. That's probably Rich or Bob. Rich?
Madam Chair, yeah, I would recommend that, Nick, you file or you send in an email requesting a field change to your current order of conditions and spell out the areas you're looking to pave. And if you have a copy of your plan, just outline that and either take a picture and email that in as well. And then we should be able to act on it at the next hearing.
Okay.
Because it's not an official hearing, so we don't have to advertise it in the newspaper. It just has to be on our agenda before we vote on it, 72 hours before the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. There are no other comments. I think I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved, Mike.
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna say the motion is by Mike and the second is by Chris St. Germain. And I have been asked to say the adjournment time out loud. So we're adjourning tonight at 9:42 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And a roll call.
Good night.
Oh,
No
hang
roll
on,
call
roll
on that,
call.
yeah.
I was very anxious to go. But thank
Sounds
you.
like it.
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, so roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Birsch,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, now we can adjourn. Thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Aye.
All right.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everybody.